Hey y'all, my name is China. I am officially a RN. I have been an RN for some months now. So I wanted to come on here and share my NCLEX-RN experience because I did not pass on the first attempt, unfortunately, but I did pass on a second attempt. So I just want to make a short video just so it can help somebody else out there that might be waiting to pass their NCLEX-RN. So first thing first, a little bit about my background. So I did a LPN to RN bridge program, and I had graduated May of 2020. Unfortunately, I had waited really long before I did my first attempt at the NCLEX-RN. My first attempt was January of 2021. Yeah, I know, extremely long. My recommendation would be when you graduate nursing school, whether it be LPN school or RN, try your best to schedule your first attempt 1 to 2 months after graduation. And when you do schedule your attempt, be sure not to be like changing the date. Like say if you schedule an attempt on January 24th and then it kind of gets closer to that date and then you change it to like February something. Don't do that. Just pick a date, stick with it, get a study schedule, and be consistent with your studying. So with my first attempt, let me get my notebook. So my school, they used Kaplan. When I was in LPN school, they used ATI. Honestly, I prefer ATI better. I hate to say that, but yes, I do. It works better for me. Some resources I had used on the first time was the program is called NCSBN. But I don't think they make that program anymore. I think someone else had actually bought it out. And I want to say the name is the Preston Review. But that program, it really didn't work for me. It was like a whole lot of reading. And I had did like an activity on my learning style, and reading is just not one of my learning styles. My learning style for me personally is like listening. So another thing I used was Archer, their test bank. They do have some videos that you can watch on YouTube. I did watch those. I did think that those videos were pretty excellent. What could I say about Archer? I think it is a great resource, but I think at the time when I did my first attempt, since I was all over the place, I wasn't consistent with studying, that I didn't use the resource to its full advantage, because I wasn't like, say, I would do questions maybe once or twice out of the week, and then maybe 1 week try to do it every day, and then, it wasn't working. What I will say about Archer is that it is very much vague like the NCLEX. If you want to figure out what people say when they say that NCLEX is vague, check out Archer's test bank. But one reason why I kind of didn't like Archer is because it had like some grammar and misspelling errors. I don't know. It didn't work out for me. So yeah, I felt like with that first attempt at the NCLEX-RN, I think what really set me back was what I studied. I felt like that's what my exam should have been. And when you're studying for the NCLEX, you can't do that, because like it's gonna ask you some things that you may or may not know, But if you know how to answer and break down the question, well, keyword, if you know how to break down the questions, you will have a better chance of getting the answer correct. And so, yeah, that was one of the things on the test was, if I didn't know something, I was probably freezing up. Another thing is taking the time out to slow down and read what the question is actually asking. Because sometimes you can be like, get in a rush or your anxiety is kicking in. And so then you answer the question, you go to the next question, then you think about the last question, and you're like, wait, they wasn't asking me that on the last question. And so now you realize that you didn't got the last question wrong, and then that's kind of like throwing you off for the rest of the test as well. So yeah, advice on that is slow down, take your time. When you read the question, go down and read all of the answers. There's also tips and tricks on how to do that, and I can talk about that in the next video as well. So moving on along, I know you guys want to know, what did I do differently and how did I pass the NCLEX on the second attempt? So on the second attempt, I made sure to limit my resources, like the material I was using to study, instead of being all over the place. With my second attempt, I only had 2 weeks, but really I only had 12 days to execute my study plan, because I was working a full-time job. And like, I have kids, I have a life. I can't just, stop to study for the NCLEX. Like, that couldn't just be the only thing that was on my agenda. So what I did is I had purchased UWorld. And what I will say about UWorld is, like, UWorld teaches you how to answer the questions. It teaches you how to critically think for the NCLEX-RN. Their rationales are like amazing. Like, even though they're so detailed, but when I was reading the rationales on questions I would get wrong, it would make me think about the things that I had forgotten about. And so I remembered that. And it was also helpful for me when I set for my NCLEX. Another thing is, I feel like UWorld does a good job at their priority questions, because I feel like, which I don't know, I don't know exactly how the NCLEX work. It is an adaptive test, but I feel like if you're getting more priority questions than anything else, then that must be the higher level questions. But hey, don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. I don't know. So yeah, I felt like UWorld prepares you, but when you are using UWorld, do not focus on the score. Let me say it again. Do not focus on the score. Focus on those rationales. Focus on what you got wrong. Know your weak spots. Know the content that you are weak in. So, another resource I used was Mark K. I downloaded Spotify, and I listened to pretty much, I want to say I listened to like 10 out of 12 of his lectures. I made sure to highlight the most important ones, especially his priority lecture. Be sure to listen to that. So yeah, basically on my second attempt, the main 2 content resources I used was Mark K and UWorld. And how I went about using it is with Mark K, I would try to listen to 2 lectures a day. And that was while I was driving in a car. When I was at home, I would hook it up to the sound bar. Before I went to sleep, I would listen to it with my headphones. Then I would take his notes and I would review over what he lectured about or followed along with it. And then I would go into UWorld. I would do 2 sets of 20 on what he lectured on. Then I would do another 2 sets of 20 just of like a mixture of content. And so after I got finished doing my questions for that day, then I would go back and see what I got wrong, read the rationales, take note. If I wanted like additional like reference, another good book, which I'll show you this one, is it's beat up. That tells you I really did use it. The Comprehensive NCLEX-RN Review is the 19th edition. It is by ATI. I had got it off of their website. What I like about this book is, okay, so after I took the NCLEX the first time and I failed, I already had this book at home. So what I did is I pulled this book out, the topics that I could remember that I had questions on, and I probably didn't do too hot on it. I went in this book, looked it up, read it word for word, and let me tell you, a lot of the wording, how it was worded the same way it was on the NCLEX. So if you already have this book at home and it's just collecting dust, like, pull it out and actually read it, because a lot of the things you need to know for the NCLEX is in here. Like, that was like how blown away I was by it. It's in here, word for word. So yeah. So when I did go to take my NCLEX the second time, I did indeed get all 145 questions. But I think what I did differently was I probably took anywhere from 5 to 6 breaks. And also, when they give you that whiteboard, if you fill it up, you can get another one. I probably used about 3 of those. And I was just going through me getting the questions and doing like the process of elimination. If I had, if it was a multiple choice question, I would go through mark. Or if it was a select all to apply, I would go through, circle. And yes, I still had enough time on my test. I think when I had left out of the testing center, I still had 45 minutes left. So yeah. But if you failed the NCLEX the first time, or however many times, please get back out there. Use positive affirmations. You can do it, get your confidence back where it needs to be, and just go back out there and knock it out. Like, it's just a test. I know exactly how people feel when they fail the NCLEX, because it happened to me. But I just want you to know that you made it like so far. You went all the way through nursing school. So for this test to just be the last thing on the list, just go ahead and knock it out, because you have a wonderful career that's waiting for you and many lives to save. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, like, leave it down below. I'll try to answer all the questions. And I'll try to make more videos. Just leave down below what you want to see more videos about in nursing. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.